Hey everyone, and Happy New Year! I can't believe it's the end of 2018 already. There are so many movies that I wanted to see, so many critically acclaimed ones that I'm sure would have blown my mind, but I'm not able to watch as many movies as a lot of other movie critics that give a top 10 on YouTube every year. Like, I also review books, and I don't get paid, and I'm not able to catch everyone as early as all the others, but I did my absolute best, and I have to say, I think I made a top 10 that's really my own, and a top 10 that I feel I worked hard enough for it to have a proper variety. So also, I should let you know that I'm a movie critic that disagrees with the tomato meter on Rotten Tomatoes more often than most. So if a lot of people disliked a certain movie, then there's a chance it might make it onto my best, actually. So just be prepared for some surprises. I'm pretty sure this is not going to be a conventional best of the year if you've seen all the other best of 2018 that have been released so far. But anyway, for starters, let's just get into it right now. So to start, here are my honorable mentions. Hereditary, Black Panther, The Post, Deadpool 2, and The Spy Who Dumped Me. Okay, so with that, let's get started. So, starting our list is Peppermint. Now, this is a movie that got 11% on Rotten Tomatoes, so I bet you're surprised already. But thankfully, I guess the 74% that liked it, that's a bit of a cushion for me at this moment. But you know what? Movie critics shouldn't care about what other critics think. In fact, no moviegoer should, honestly. And I'm proud to say that Peppermint was quite a terrific ride. Now, let me get some things straight. There are a lot of stereotypes in this, and some of the action is mindless and even implausible at times, and also some predictable moments. So, to be fair, I think that if it had just a typical lead performance, then this would have been, well, as typical as I've heard everyone else say it is. However, with Jennifer Garner's performance, she carries this entire film right into my top 10. You see, at her darkest hour, when she is denied justice, the pain is so surreal. I couldn't believe that it was actually acting that I was seeing. And you just feel how hopeless the situation is for her. And also, Garner was, I think, the perfect choice to play a heartbroken mother turned vigilante, and it really shows. And the revenge is just so pure, and you feel like Garner's giving the comeuppance that she deserves to give. I ended up liking it so much just because of Garner's performance that it carried the whole movie enough to land the top 10 spot, even though there have been some movies where I've given a higher grade. And now coming in at number 9 is Avengers Infinity War. This probably would have been higher on the list if it weren't for some outside stuff. You see, I think that the Marvel Cinematic Universe, or basically Marvel Studios, chickened out on a few things. They basically brought some trailers in for future movies that kind of show off what Avengers Endgame is supposed to look like, and it kind of negates some of the emotional pulls from this movie. If you've seen the movie, you know exactly what I mean. However, it was during the movie that was the whole magic. I had a lot of expectations because in my opinion, Age of Ultron was way too cluttered. But Infinity War tackles about 4 or 5 different stories at the same time over 2.5 hours, and I was on board for every minute of it. So a movie doing that has to be doing something right. And coming in at number 8 is a surprise for me, and that is Bad Times at the El Royale. You see, I can admire movies that try to be more poetic than cinematic. Movies that try to go above just the general 3-act rule and try to redefine what a movie can do. And Bad Times at the El Royale is one of those. It's just that usually, for me, when a movie tries to do that, it sacrifices the actual entertainment and enjoyment value for me. However, for this one, it really got interesting before diving into its experiment. And it kept me on board the whole time. All of the actors really did an amazing job. It almost felt like a thriller by the end, as well as just some very fancy direction and a very hipster-like yet empty hotel. It was fun being around there for the 2 hours. And now coming in at number 7 is the newest Tomb Raider movie, Tomb Raider. Now, I'm not a very big video game fan. You can kind of blame all these video game consoles going out of business way too early and demanding money, but I still am a fan of what they're able to do and how they can make people feel, well, accomplishing. And I'd say that Tomb Raider really embraces video games and gamers in general. There are so many amazing stunts and so much unexpectedness. The action also has a sort of unpredictable feel and an even crazy feel. It's almost like you're playing the video game and you have absolutely no idea what's supposed to happen next. There really are some amazing moments of stealth and an okay enough story and a terrific performance from Alicia Vikander carrying it all the way. I really like the Uncharted fan film that was made this year, and if we don't get a bigger extension of that, at least we have Tomb Raider. Now, coming in at number 6 is a movie that is on most people's best of the year list, but it's deserved. Spider-Man Into the Spiderverse. I really am looking forward to see what Peter Ramsey does next after Rise of the Guardians, which I loved even more, and then this one. Now, the animation and comic book design, it's something that we've really never seen before, but it also has a decent story about self-discovery and living up to expectations and grieving. It's just a real enjoyment fest, especially for me because I've been very critical in the past of the Spider-Man movies, and I think this is the best one, if not the best, since the 14-year mark of Spider-Man 2 from 2004. I still have to let it sink in if I like this one more, but it seems like a lot of people are saying it's the best Spider-Man movie ever, and it wouldn't be far-fetched at all to say that it is. Now coming in at number 5 is another animated movie, Incredibles 2. My expectations were actually kind of low, because the teaser trailer kind of made it seem like it was almost like the teams at Pixar decided, okay, after all this pressure, we'll make something, but it sounded like they were just going to be a little lazy and only include like Elastigirl in most of this, which wouldn't have been bad, it's just that would be excluding 4 out of 5 of the family that we've loved ever since the original 2004 was created, and The Incredibles is a family favorite of ours. But Incredibles 2 even improved on the action, and it also made it seem like a complete worthy companion to the first one, and situate it in not just the same universe as it was just like seconds ago before the original one, but also dives into more political stuff of today without making it seem like that's the whole point of the movie. It's just a lot of fun and once again shows the importance of loving families and just lives up to being the 14-year wait. And I'll just say, and most critics would agree with me on this one, just please don't make us wait 14 years till the next one. And now coming in at number 4 is Mission Impossible Fallout. I mean, what can I say? I like action movies. There's stunt after stunt after stunt, with twist after twist after twist, after knockout after knockout after knockout. But I'm serious, this has like the best motorcycle chase ever, and I don't remember if anyone has ever really jumped out of a plane and gotten this close to the landing for real ever before, and I don't remember ever seeing a fist fight that felt as painful, judging from just the blows, as this one did. I also love that it seems like this franchise is never gonna slow down, it's just gonna keep speeding up more and more and more. Now, Ghost Protocol is still my favorite, but I've only seen Fallout once. I still think about it a lot, like every week, so maybe after my second viewing, maybe I'll bump it up to the favorite. But for now, we're coming up to the top 3. And coming in at number 3 is The Hate U Give. And honest to goodness, it looks like 2018 is going to go down as the year where young adult book adaptations kicked the stuffing out of every other movie that was released. And so I guess that is spoilers for what's to come, but The Hate U Give is a prime example of that. The only reason it's not higher, or number 2 or number 1, is because I felt it was not very differentiated from its book counterpart, but that's also a compliment in the way. The gunshots in this one, you see smoke coming out of them and they're incredibly loud, kind of like the 1967 Bonnie and Clyde, and also it doesn't back down, just like the book. It refuses to lay low and undermine the very important messages about today. This is such an important movie to watch, and I think that if everyone saw it, then the world would be just a better place with the snap of a finger. The characters are incredibly fleshed out and likable, and you just want to be alongside them and do anything you can. Some people might look at this at first and think it is another race war movie, but it's so much more than that. It's also about families, and it's also about communities working together, and it's also about the way our world is crafted and how not only white people anticipate different things, but black people do to themselves as well. It's just so heartbreaking, and I wish we didn't live in the world where it had to be this way. I know this is a fictional tale, but Angie Thomas wrote this story in inspiration from the Oscar Grant shooting all the way back when, so it's pretty close to reality if you ask me. So yeah, The Hate You Give is number 3, and it really deserves it. Now here's a small little thing about me. I only give about 2 or 3 A+ every year. Like, earning an A+ for me is a big achievement. And I kind of wanted to tell you this in a minute, but I might as well say it now. Number 1 has a tie, so technically I gave 3 A+, but coming in at number 2 is Venom. So many people have said this was disappointing, well, critics anyway. The audience just said, whatever, you're wrong. We are Venom and you are vanquished. We've just chomped your head off. I really don't know what all the negative fuss is all about. Some people have said that Spider-Man should have been in this, but if you ask me, if they put the Marvel Cinematic Universe into this, it would have been all cluttered up and it would have just put Venom as the typical villain. But it's so much more than just another superhero movie. In fact, I didn't know anything about Venom, really. I even kind of forgot about Topher Grace's performance from Spider-Man 3 until I saw this movie. Let me put it this way. This was a movie that seemed to just be made for me. I'm really attentive to the anger in the world, and an anti-hero movie like this one definitely is as well. And Eddie Brock is a really hard-hitting journalist, and I love hard-hitting journalists. I try my best to be a hard-hitting journalist too. And it also puts him through some very tough times for going the extra mile in his work. That has happened to me as well. It also just looks at the world and how crummy it really is, and how sometimes not everybody can come away unhurt. And also, I didn't expect a movie like this to be funny, but you haven't lived until you've seen Eddie Brock take a very unsanitary bath in a lobster tank in public. Like, I laughed for like a solid minute. And also, Mission Impossible Fallout did this too. I really like that Eddie's ex-girlfriend is now dating another guy, but Eddie Brock doesn't make a complete villain out of him immediately. Eddie sees that he's a good and compassionate guy. They don't fight about that. And also, I can't believe I'm saying this publicly, but I also wrote it in my review. The character of Venom is amazing. He is so well done that he ends up being terrifyingly sexy. And the banter between him and Eddie is just priceless. So now we're down to the 2 that made number 1. That sounded way better in my head. I guess we'll start out with the one that came out earlier in the year. Coming in at number 1 is the last Maze Runner movie, The Death Cure. And it's official. This was my most anticipated movie of the entire year from the get-go. I waited for it and waited for it and waited for it. When Dylan O'Brien hurt himself, I couldn't believe that it had to be delayed like 10 months, but the wait was really worth it, even more than Incredibles 2, I think, because Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, that trilogy, now quartet, it is the only book series where I've given 4 stars out of 4 to each and every one. Now the Maze Runner trilogy is the only movie series where I've given an A+ to. My dad, when he was 8, saw A New Hope in theaters like 7 days in a row, and it's still his favorite trilogy of all time. And so the Maze Runner series is my Star Wars. The Maze Runner The Death Cure did everything good. Just like the last 2, it deviated from the book more than enough to be unpredictable. And it was heartbreaking, amazingly made, and the story about the zombie apocalypse is as pure as can be. No other zombie apocalypse movie has to be made now, let alone any more series. So yeah, The Maze Runner The Death Cure did an amazing job. I am now, like, I'd say Wes Ball's biggest fan. But now here's the other number 1. And remember how I said how in the Hate You Give that 2018 will be the year for YA book adaptations. Well, I've given 2 now, and this is my 3rd. The other number 1 is Love, Simon. Now, after I saw this movie, I just went up to my room and just sat down in bed and just cried for a little bit. I thought about my future, I thought about the world around me and how far we've gotten, yet how we still have a lot to go. I thought about how we have a movie like this in this day and age. I thought about how I really wished I had seen it in theaters. I imagine that it would have been the experience of my life. And I've seen it twice now, and I've cried effectively both times, and I'm sure the next time I see it, it will be the exact same way. Now, I like the book, Simon versus the Homo sapiens Agenda, quite a lot, but I think that the movie does it even better, and here's why. Something I didn't quite like about the book was how we didn't really get to see Simon first to find out about Blue and his first email to him, but in this version, we get to witness that. We get to witness the very beginning that I was very curious about. So there's that. And also, something I also liked in the book was how the boy that blackmails Simon, the book was kind of forgiving and lenient on him, and it should have been. It was good. And the movie even more so. It makes him really likable and sympathetic. It shows that people can do bad things, but they are still people. I've heard that theaters everywhere cried and clapped and cheered, every joyful emotion imaginable. I really wish I could have been there as well. And the movie is so accurate about the coming out process. You don't have to look any further. So there you have it. Those are my top 10 or top 11. And I'm gonna be making my worst list tomorrow. And I'm really looking forward to that as well. So once again, Happy New Year, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Till next time.